ready to go. So let's jump into the board and see what the choices are. It seems like RDU will start off strong with Druid, while the Miracle Rogue choice for Darkwonyx.
I don't think there's any surprise that he's leading with Miracle Rogue. He basically hasn't been able to play it all tournament, and he's finally getting a chance to play it here. You saw him think about mulliganing the Auctioneer, and I definitely think that's a mistake. It's not a card you mulligan, really. It just doesn't work that way.
No, especially against Druid. If they actually don't have them, no one's playing Poison Seeds yet. So if you get the concealed gadget stand, they literally have nothing to do unless it's something really impossible to have, like spell powered double swipe for some reason. Like that's the only way they can get through the concealed gadget.
It's pretty tough.
Yeah, that's a very improbable scenario.
Solid opening hand. He's going to have a decision really early on whether or not he wants to start cycling these cards, or whether or not he wants to get value from his dagger. And frankly, I think with Gadget Stand Auctioneer in your hand, you should favor the cycling, because you want to dig to stuff like Conceal. You want to get preparations. You want to be able to scale into your game. And especially now that he's drawn this SI7 agent, Backstab is another card that ends up becoming good here. I'd be pretty surprised if he doesn't Shiv.
Just at the same time, it is more mana efficient overall to have the hero power, so that way you get the damage over time. So yep, that's probably what he favors.
A little surprised he doesn't, and when he doesn't Shiv here, what he's looking for is on turn 4, he's going to redagger and Shiv. I think I would still favor the Shiv, though.
What I do like about keeping Shiv is that oftentimes these decks, if you see Artist Squire, you're almost knowing the Harvest Golem is a possibility. So if you draw into something like Deadly Poison, which he does have, Deadly Poison Shiv is also one of the best responses to Harvest Golem. So I think keeping that in mind, Darkwonyx also has this kind of pan out in his favor, which I would actually like him to keep Shiv now that he has a Deadly Poison, in case the Harvest Golem does come out the following turn.
Well, now his draw is panned out in a really weird way, because he can justify attacking here and redaggering as well, because on turn 4 he's going to have Poison and SI7 agent, and then on turn 5 he can then on turn 5 he can use both of his cyclers and go from there. So that Deadly Poison actually ends up being a really important draw when he chooses to dagger up instead of cycling his cards.
Yep, exactly. I completely agree. But now RDU actually has the nothing to do here on turn 4 unless he draws into something like Innervate. Or turn 3, rather, excuse me.
Or Big Game Hunter. Yeah, I wouldn't Big Game Hunter here either. So it's sort of a weird card in this matchup. I want to talk a little bit about this card. It's okay to play it, but when you play Big Game Hunter, what it does is it opens up your opponent's ability to actually make a big Edwin Van Cleef. And so it's a card that you want to play it because you want to get 4 power on the board, but at the same time you don't want to play it because it's so vulnerable to all these 2 damage spells, and then at the same time also gives your opponent another option. So just kind of having it as a scare card oftentimes makes a lot more sense than just outright playing it.
Yeah, I think so. And I know like players like Gar, for example, he would always tell me that you should never, ever just play BGH unless you know you're in complete trouble or you have an opportunity to set up lethal, because you're just giving yourself into potentially just losing the game straight up. You're giving your opponent an extra win condition by playing it prematurely without an alternative backup. Like say you have a Keeper of the Grove in your hand to silence.
Right.
Oh man, Darkwonyx picks up the Web Lord, which is shown to be pretty interesting, right? Like I can't wait to see how it's going to develop with the rest of Naxxramas cards. But at the same time, I think its impact has been a nuisance, to say the least.
Yeah, and Druid, it's not so much, because all of these Druid cards that have these changing abilities when they come into play, they're not battle cries, they're just choose one effects. And here, it shows how unimportant it is in this matchup. RDU doesn't even think to take care of it, and now Preparation has found its way into the hand of Darkwonyx. This is going to be a lot of potential draws.
Oh, wow. They eviscerate to go with the prep. And you know what? I think these players are taking it in stride, too. You know, RDU is smiling a lot relative to how it normally looked. You know, just to comment a little bit, RDU, he is really young. He's 17 years old. He can't even legally drink with us at after parties, at events. And so for his reputation, I'm just going to say, yeah, he doesn't drink with us at events. Now, normally, RDU, actually, what he does is usually he studies the vase and goes in his room and plays more Hearthstone after a tournament goes on. That's usually what RDU does. That was the first thing he did when he was hanging out with me the day after IM Shenzhen.
And that practice gives him a big edge. And he should be smiling here. He's already qualified for the China event. He's got 2K locked up. And but this is for pride. I mean, these are the matches I take more seriously than anything else. I want to win.
This is the tournament title in a way. You can just put it on your Twitch stream when you're when you're going, right? It's like you're the WEC European winner.
Yeah, I could finally have something other than a second place.
Aw.
That would be sweet for me. Self shots.
Well, I dream of a top 2 finish one day in anything, even in my relationships.
We're in the top 2 right now.
Well, he goes for a draw with the Ancient of Lore, pretty standard. He has combo, which is really important, and his opponent's at 19 life. So RDU does have a way to end the game soon if he can kind of piece together 5 more damage.
Second Auctioneer is pretty good, though, and he's got 2 Shadow Steps already, so a large portion of his damage put together when he finds Leroy.
Hmm.
This is kind of a tough spot, actually. Your opponent's got so many cards that this Godzane Auctioneer is very vulnerable. How much merit is there to not playing Auctioneer here? Like, say you just Shiv and use Eviscerate instead. Oh, he's going to Blade Flurry.
Oh, he's going to Blade Flurry.
I don't know.
I mean, he
how
has
I feel
Shadow
about
Step.
Blade
I
Flurry.
like the idea of just drawing closer to Leroy. You have Shadow Steps. You're almost going to have the mana to do like something like Eviscerate with it anyways. And you
Right.
kind of just stall out and hopefully you don't draw enough damage.
He's putting a lot of damage here on Darkwonyx, and actually he's threatening lethal next turn with this. Darkwonyx needs to actually find a heal, because there's a Force Nature Savage War combo.
Yeah, Senjin or heal is his only way, his only ticket to getting out of it. Plus, he has to clear the board too. It's not exactly the
my
easiest thing
gosh.
to do.
He needs to draw an Earthen Ring Farseer right here. He's actually just dead.
The alternative was to draw away to just kill him. He gets a sap. And I think that's it, right? Darkwonyx can't actually win this game anymore.
There's no way he can live through this turn anymore. This game 1 is going straight over to RDU. So Miracle, even though it's shown up here, it can be taken down. This is like a world second or third by someone being able to actually beat Miracle Rogue. But RDU is going to be the one to do it here. No surprise, as far as I'm concerned. If there's one guy who can do it, it's him.
Man, he needs to top deck like Goldshire Footman or something. I don't know. That's the only way he could win, in my opinion.
Ready for action.
No, even then, you wouldn't have the mana to do it. That would be sick, though, if he just has a Shield Bear, like, randomly in his Miracle Rogue deck. It's like, oh, I actually auto-filled for the rest of the cards, but this works out nicely.
And here comes the bad
Well, that's
news.
going to be it. So RDU is going to jump out to a 1-0 lead and take down Miracle Rogue, which is very important relative to what he has. You know, Miracle against the Warrior can be really a headache sometimes. Sure, you put yourself out of range, but the explosiveness that Miracle has lately has been giving Warrior a nightmare. So I think RDU gets a really important snipe to lead off the series.
Indeed.
If they're not able to kind of respond to it, then they just get kind of bowled over.
Right.
And he's going to go with the Mage and see what he gets this time around.
Well, there's those 7 drops that haunted him earlier when he was playing Freeze Mage. He mulliganed into those. 3 left cards were Flame Strike, Archmage.
And then he drew like Alex Straza within his first 2 cards. It was something ridiculous like that. It's like, oh, poor guy.
It was pretty
There's like
brutal.
5 cards, 7. There's like 5 cards, like 6 or 7 mana and above, and he drew all of them.
Oracle. That's something we hadn't seen in his deck so far.
I think it's his push for a turn 4 Mountain Giant.
Yep.
But the
Wow,
Webboard just
look at
catches it. Awesome.
No Cold Light Oracle today.
That is epic.
But Coin and Arcane Intellect is still a lot of power on that Mana Worm. How worried is he about a card like Wrath? Do you attack this Weblord right away?
I think he would have Wrath the turn before this, right? Because you don't usually have something on turn 3 unless he has something like Harvest Golem.
A natural mistake.
Thank you.
Ooh, a little bit of spice coming out. I think if you want to play Cold Light Oracle too, now that you have Mountain Giant, that's when you attack this Weblord. So it makes perfect sense now.
I like RDU's play of using his 1/4 to attack here, because frankly the 1/1's not going to get any more value. It's just going to get pinged. But like we said, this opens it up to the Cold Light Oracle. But this actually isn't that bad for RDU. I don't think if you look at his hand, he's got 2 Ancient Allures and a Force Nature. He actually needs just minions to be able to play. So he's kind of happy. Oh wow, and he picks up a big game hunter too. Now he's really happy about it.
Okay. Darkwonyx gets his Archmage, but he was playing his Mountain Giant guaranteed this turn.
Yep.
And that BGH is very valuable because once again, it takes out the Mage's momentum from under them. They're usually spending these turns drawing if they don't have the Giants, and to try to be able to take out these threats really effectively is while building your own board is exactly in the game plan of Druid.
I really like how he's innervating this keeper here too, and putting a lot of pressure on Darkwonyx as early as he can, because these are the turns where Druid can make these scary pushes.
You sure you like it though with Doomsayer?
You know, I was just about to touch on that. I do like it, despite the fact that he is Doomsayer, because he's got to make because he can recover from this Doomsayer. Like, this isn't the end of the world. It sucks to be in this position, but you notice again his hand is 2 Ancient Allures, so he's not losing a lot of stuff by having this happen. He took a big risk. If his opponent doesn't have Doomsayer, he's way out in front. This is sort of like one of those feast or famine plays, where it either pays off in spades, or you end up in a spot where you lose some value. But he's also got these minions that replace themselves too. So this is the position he wants. That sort of kind of works against that risk as well. Is even though Doomsayer goes off, he's still got minions on the board.
Yeah, and the Spider top deck was actually very helpful relative to the position with the Doomsayer. So he's able to kind of still put on a little bit of pressure and not lose himself too much.
Yep, I like the Ancient Lore here. He's just digging for Savage Roar at this point. Oh, and he gets it.
And he has another keeper in case another board reset attempt comes with Doomsayer.
Now that he's got the Savage Roar combo also, it's very likely that these Molten Giants are not going to be hitting play on a relevant turn. He can just keep his opponent around the 14 or 15 life mark and then push for lethal afterwards. He's also at 27 HP too, so even if these Molten Giants do come out, it's not a big threat on lethal on the counter swing. Say if he's got an Ice Block active.
Yeah, I like a board clear here with Fireball, and just continue to swat down Druid the same way of how they try to take the rug under from you and never let you get some damage in before you have to play things like Giants. In the same vein, just be able to kind of clear there so that way they can't surprise you with some big damage lethals.
Right. I like the attack on the Mana Worm too. Both of these players still fighting really heavily for position of the board.
Novice Engineer. Well, I guess it's a turn that if you whiff on Novice, you can develop your Ice Block. Especially if you have two.
We were talking about how it might not matter on a critical turn where he's not able to play these Molten Giants, but now that he's picked up a second Ice Block, that really changes things.
Yeah. Because then the one turn that Ice Block might get popped or does get popped, then you drop the Molten Giants and you have a second one to build to play.
Right.
And it makes so much sense because before when I first thought, I was like, why don't you just play Taunts? And they said, well, if you have second Ice Block, then doesn't it kind of do the same thing? I was like,
look how much Innervate is powered out onto the board now. 9 extra power and 2 more cards in the hand.
Ooh.
Something like Flame Strike would be a really nice draw. Ooh, Mirror Image isn't bad either. Because now that's going to get 3 fireballs in his hand.
Very nice.
Wow.
Darkwonyx has a lot of damage.
Archmage is also kind of protected. RDU can silence it here, but even if he silences it, it's still a 5/7.
Huh. But if he silences Savage Roars, well, if he just Savage Roars right now with Force of Nature, does he have enough? Just a quick napkin math. He has 6 plus the 12 on top of the 14. Yeah. Oh wait, no. Just kidding. He has to go through the mirror entities or mirror images.
If he uses Force of Nature Savage Roar here, I think he's got to kill this Antonidas.
I think with how much damage you have in your hand, I think you're okay with that as well.
Yeah, I agree. He's really fighting heavily for board position still. So he knows his opponent's got a lot of damage in his hand. You know, he's got to be careful here too. He doesn't want to put his opponent too low and start enabling these Mountain Giants too early. I don't know if... I'm not sure how much that matters right now, but that's what he's thinking about. So you notice he caught it right at the end. He was thinking about how much of a difference it makes, and I think pushing for the extra damage makes a lot of sense. But now you're going to see 2 Molten Giants come down, and this could spell bad news for RDU, because that's a lot of damage. Not only is it 2 Molten Giants, but it's also a Fireball.
Wowee, and that's going to put him down to 21 with 12 damage in hand and 16 on the board.
What to do?
I think that's a really clean play. I don't see anything else. I think a Doomsayer play is almost certain to...
He may fireball
it's
one of these
due.
Drakes. Yep. I was about to say, he may fireball one of these Drakes in order to prevent something like a Swipe and a Wrath from completely clearing his board.
Oh, man,
A swipe would be 6 damage, and then a Wrath
Yep.
would be 5 more if he still had double spell power.
Fair enough, fair enough. It's a very cautious play. You know, most people just kind of YOLO it.
Oh, he can actually clear both these Moltons, too.
Yep. With that keeper.
That's a lot of damage that's being invested now in the Molten Giants. It's less damage he can use to push for lethal.
But he did use his Antonitis, and he has gone through 3 of his Giants. Where else is the damage going to exist? I think Darkwonyx is going to have to rely on things like Alex Straza.
Right. Really heads-up play here from RDU. Wow.
Okay.
Azure Drake getting a lot of work done that turn.
And he saves his keeper as well.
Ooh.
Alex off the top for Darkwonyx. That is
Are
big.
you kidding me?
Whoa.
That is by
That's
far
exactly what he
the
needed.
best draw in his deck. Like, huge swing in life totals. That's 11 points of damage and an 8/8. And Swipe, he's able to take out the Alex Straza.
We were saying that that was the only way Darkwonyx can potentially win from this position because he's used so much of his damage, but the fact still remains he needs to draw a little bit more than what he has. He's lacking some oomph. The nice thing is that his opponent has used both keepers, so this Doomsayer can be live. A Mountain Giant.
You got to play the Doomsayer first, I think. You got to risk your block getting popped.
But the Mountain Giant gets weaker and weaker progressively. I think if you just take out one of these creatures... I like this a little bit more. I like this a little bit more. He already used BGH. He already used 2 of them. He already used Swipes and Rats. Oh, but he top decks a Force of Nature. Oh, man. Unfortunately, he didn't have an opportunity to pop an Ice Block, but he's going to have to use this for removal.
Right, he can't pop the Ice Block here because he knows his opponent's got 2 Fireballs from Antonitis.
Yep.
Huh, he favors the 1/1s over the 2/4s. That's really peculiar to me.
Yeah.
I wonder why
That is really interesting. I think maybe... I was like, maybe he spreads out the hero power, but I'm not exactly sure.
If he gets a Frostbolt now, that's 19 points of damage. Do you ping one of these? No, your opponent can pop your block either way. I think you just ping his face.
I think you got to ping his face because I think you got to generate damage, which you don't have at the moment. He's got 12 in his hand, and he's got to have somehow generate 18 over the course of a few turns.
When I say you can pop his block either way, what I meant was with any sort of his extra damage spells to go to the face. So Druid of the Claw, Swipe, Savage Roar, Force Nature, etc. All of those spells that are going to increase RDU's damage are going to be able to pop his Ice Block anyway. That's why he's not picking his 1/1.
Oh, I know what you meant, but thank you for clarifying. Whoa, whoa, he just passes. I guess he's going to use these fireballs defensively. Huh.
RDU's got to armor up, and that's his only play.
Yeah.
Darkwonyx.
Save this Ancient of Lore to heal.
Oh, he's
Oh,
healing
well, I guess
right
he's not
now?
saving it. Okay.
That is really weird.
That is very... I wasn't sure about that. I thought he was going to save it. But maybe he's afraid of... Oh, his opponent's holding 4 cards, and that could be the combination that he dies to, right? If he was at 18 health?
No, he can't.
Then...
His opponent's only got 10 mana.
No, but if he had Frostbolt Ice Lance, he would have died.
How?
RDU's playing...
everything.
He was playing it around the fact that his opponent had the Frostbolt Ice Lance, and that he would die this following turn.
Oh my
man.
gosh.
That could be a big card, but it only can do 21 damage max. You need a Fireball now. You need a Fireball and top deck an Ice Frostbolt. That's the only way Darkwonyx can win at this stage. But he does have 4 cards left, I think, right? And he has another Ice Block, so he can stall. You
Oh
also
my
Frost
gosh,
over
he's
here, I
perfect.
believe. There you go. And RDU, because he used both of his Ancients, he needs to top deck something to do 2 damage. Or 1 more damage, rather. Like a second Savage Roar.
Oh! Wow.
That hurts. This hurts so much because now he has 3 turns to draw in which almost guarantees a victory for Darkwonyx. He does have another Frostbolt.
How many cards does he have left in his deck? Was it 4?
Is it 4? Yeah, he's got 4. And
Oh, gosh.
now he's so deep into it. But at the same time, he might be fatiguing himself soon.
He's got to be careful to not fatigue.
Oh my goodness.
His Frostbolt's one of the last 2 cards in his deck.
Yeah. That is so unfortunate, but I think you just gotta ping. Maybe you even fireball so that way you can ice block again later.
Oh my gosh.
But he really hopes that his Frostbolt is the next draw. I think it might not matter though, because the Arcane Intellect was so clutch. Oh my goodness, RDU has so much of a board, but the best thing he can do for himself is actually hero powering. There's nothing else he can do.
Wow. Frostbolt.
Well, I think Frostbolt seals it here. It's more than enough.
I'm almost out of cards.
Oh my gosh!
Wow. Oh man, so it's the last card?
He can't play that Blood Mage either.
No, so he's just got a ice block. Maybe even flame, or just ping and mirror image. Maybe even fireball.
He's actually going to be 1 damage short. He doesn't have the mana to ping afterwards. Yeah, it's 4 mana for fireball.
You're right.
It's 3 mana
Wait.
for Frostbolt and Ice Lance. And then it's 2 mana for the Blood Mage.
Oh my god, I didn't count the hero power
left.
of RDU. Well, look at that.
Wow, Frostbolt needed to be the last card in his deck for him to lose.
Oh my god, that was so unlikely.
1 damage.
Wow.
Oh, I can't believe it.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. Well, the RDU is able to jump up to a 2-0 lead.
I would have gone with Hunter last game. Yeah.
Okay. He does pick up some nice cards to be able to combat Druid. But RDU has a really good start as well with the double Haunted Creepers.
Is he going to go for board control on turn 1? Answer's no.
Maybe only in the mirror.
It's actually really not that bad in the mirror. It's a pretty solid play.
Yeah, but with the promise of Haunted Creeper, I find doing that a lot less effective.
Yep, this freezing trap is a preemptive play, by the way. This animal companion, 2 times out of 3 is going to make a minion with 4 health. So if his opponent has a minion on the board, he can attack it and then use Wrath to clear it up. And as it stands now, he would have to use Coin Swipe to do that, or use Coin Hero Power. So this freezing trap, a pretty heads-up play here from Darkwonyx. It's unfortunate also that he made Leok, because now Leok is 1 damage short of being able to kill this Violet Teacher in combination with a Houndmaster.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. But at least it wasn't Huffer in the scenario that he'd be able to keep the Grove off the coin.
I really like another freezing trap here. Oh, he's just going to go for it, though.
I like freezing trap because then it starts log jamming a lot of what Druid's hand is and forces them into really tough spots, like you said. The converse is that by putting as Houndmaster, you get a guaranteed value, which oftentimes isn't the case. Say he passed and he was not able. Say he did freezing trap, but he just swiped. Then the Houndmaster becomes way less effective because you have like a 1/1 that gets the +2/+2, versus this actually gets you something.
Yep.
Oh, but the silence is pretty devastating.
This is the risk of that. When you do the build your own Druid of the Claw plan, you do open yourself up to situations like this. And now look at his hand. This hand has gone from looking pretty good to looking pretty grim.
Well, I guess when all else fails, you just start hero powering. Start bringing your opponent lower.
2 to the dome. That's one of my favorite hero powers.
Those things rack up over time. People really underestimate it at certain points. But if you're able to squeeze in 3 hero powers or more, and get them in like the high teens, you still have a huge explosive potential if you have like any minions on the board whatsoever. Because you have Leroy, the Eaglehorn Bow, and then maybe like an Unleash to kind of pad your damage.
Wow. Animal Companion for Darkwonyx is like summon a random Leok.
Well, unfortunately, there's only 1 Leok, so it's not so random.
This is what it feels like sometimes when I play Hunter too. Like you go on these streaks where you're like, can I please make a Misha or a Huffer or something?
Oh man, You have to dedicate so many of your resources to play this inefficiently. Darkwonyx is once again at a really rough start. His opponent even has combo too, so once he starts stabilizing, RDU is going to push him to the point of lethal.
Buzzard's a really important card in this matchup. By the way, I kind of want to talk about this. A lot of people keep strong curves against this Druid matchup, but I think something that is more important is to have the potential to unlock something like a Starving Buzzard and Unleash the Hounds, or to have something like a turn 6 Savannah Highmane. It's such a powerful card versus Druid that they're not happy to face off against it. He's got to open himself to swipe here, by the way. He has no way to play around it. But it's one of those cards that you can mulligan for those cards and sort of compromise your curve in favor of getting to points where things like Savannah Highmane and Starving Buzzard and Unleash the Hounds matter. So there's two schools of thought on it. The first one is that you get your curve and try to get value from it. And the second one is that you kind of go for these big power plays. I would tend to favor the power plays, I think. But there's certainly arguments on both sides of it, and I can't fault anyone for picking that. But he's just going to have to go for damage here. He's actually putting some stuff together, too. He's getting really close to the kill command being lethal point.
Yeah.
His mana is a little bit off.
What you gotta do. I like the idea of, again, hero powering. Sure, you might
is that lethal?
Die to something. Wait, Savage Roar just kill him?
7? No, oh, well,
whoa, he's got Innervate. All right.
It definitely kills him now.
Wait. But he's got to, like,
9,
trade
10,
off
11.
some of these minions first. He's got to trade off some of these minions.
Well,
that
he's got 15 plus... He's got 15 plus 14.
Okay.
Wait, what?
So he's got 29.
Oh, wait, the Violet Teacher makes tokens. I was wrong.
Yeah. That's what I say. He's got to trade off some of the minions first.
I miss that every single time. Every time I play this, I'm always like, oh, the Violet Teacher makes the tokens. I would have just lost the game here.
Oh, wait.
Sort of...
Can he still do this now?
No.
Because I thought...
Even he's realizing it now. Even he's realizing that you missed it.
Because I said you have to trade his whelps. You have to trade his whelps first. And then after you trade his whelps, then you can use Force of Nature Savage Roar. And then I think he had 29 damage. Oh, but now RDU kind of fumbled here.
I mean, he opens himself up to being able to lose now. If Darkwonyx draws something like... Is kill command enough? 3, 4, 5, 6...
Oh no, RDU. Uh-oh.
Wow.
The walls are coming down.
Yep, you can't let those mistakes...
RDU is dealing with a little bit of the embarrassment factor here.
You cannot let those mistakes affect you. It's the sort of stuff that happens. And Darkwonyx, is he dead now? 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 6, 13, 14 damage.
Uh-oh.
RDU, he's 1 damage off lethal.
Nope. He picks up the Harvest Golem, and that doesn't help him. Oh, this is actually going to be really close.
That 2-7 is actually pretty important right now.
Yeah, for the kill commands. Arch the Squire. So a lucky top deck has followed by a series of few bad calls.
It was Unleash the Hounds.
Oh my god, you're right. Unleash the Hounds actually ends the game.
Kill command. This game.
Horn Bow ends the game. What's it gonna be for Darkwonyx? Wait, is it over? Oh, no! He needs to hit one of the 4/4. Oh, and now I think RDU has been redeemed. You know, his opponent didn't get the draws he needed. He needed 3 damage off the top of some kind, and was not able to procure it. Now RDU has it, I believe. Yeah, he does.
What that trap is. Yeah, he's
He's worried explosive trap. He's worried another explosive trap, but you just kind of test it here, and you realize you have it.
You can't play around the other explosive trap. If he's got it, he's got it.
Okay. Whew. Well, you know, I think RDU ends up recovering and ends up being able to secure the win. Darkwonyx did have a small window, and I think it kind of goes back to how he was given a window, where he gave himself a window by playing Leroy. A lot of people would just have a deck. Druid Mirror is almost destined to happen every tournament that I watch. And if there's a deck that could 4-0, it might be the Druid. In fact, I've been part of tournaments where I've casted where Druid won every game in the series, even though series went 5-7 games. It was like the Druid start off with like a 3-0, and then the Druid ends up 4-0 in response.
It's definitely possible. I mean, Malfurion versus the World is not the worst spot to be in. Because if there's a deck that can have some power plays, it is Druid. I mean, you draw a couple of Innervates into some big Savage Roar turns, and you're putting together lethal very quickly. And it's frankly, it's hard to disrupt, and it's becoming even harder now that these Druid decks are able to put in cards like Haunted Creeper, and they're just getting more resiliency through their minions. So they're getting value as the game progresses, and they're getting even more value from it because when they draw them in these later turns, they're not that bad at draws because they stick to the board and enable cards like Savage Roar.
Yeah. Oh no, and that's exactly what it is. And Weblord is also kind of reminiscent of it. It's sticking in its own way. You take those 2 hit points from those spectral spiders and you kind of add it to the Weblord, and it kind of functions the same way with its own disincentive for you to try to build your own board.
Uh-oh.
Oh wow.
Big
Power
turns.
of the wild.
Big turns.
Oh, geez,
Wow,
I didn't
look at how much
forgot about
power
that.
has just been put on the board from Darkwonyx.
I'm pretty sure I see these kinds of posts on the front page of Reddit all the time. It's like, look what I had on turn 3. And then it's like this. It's like this, and then you win the next turn because you have Savage Roar top deck. Well, he
got
actually
2
has
swipes,
Savage.
though. He's also got 2 swipes, so he can start cleaning up his board pretty nicely.
Well, Darkwonyx does have a bio teacher, so he can even follow up with some pretty strong plays. And an Ancient of Lore top deck as well, so he's curving out very nicely.
You trade these 1 health guys off, right? Oh, apparently you don't. Wow,
I think
he's going to be
what's the likelihood of having both swipes in the first top 10 cards of the game?
not very good, but I still think it's going to be right to do it. Your opponent's got 2 1-1s out of the deal, but you've cleared the board pretty efficiently. So he's got a little bit of a board lead and a little bit of a life advantage. But you're not in the worst spot ever.
Huh.
Oh my gosh.
Well then.
Hey, not the
I
worst
guess
turn in the
Darkwonyx
world.
is going to play pretty consistent. It makes sense relative to the fact that he has Savage Roar and
Right.
the fact that he can push for damage while drawing cards with Ancients. So Darkwonyx is in a pretty good position to perhaps within the next few turns piece together a lethal.
Wow, RDU has gotten some fantastic draws, though. Take a look at this. He's going to be able to play Druid of Claw and Taunt and potentially heal if he needs to. He's going to have a massive board advantage, and he's going to have card advantage as well. That Keeper
Well, it's not like
Growth
Darkwonyx has been on an island either. He's been picking up stuff that he can drop immediately and impact the board as well. It's been scrappy. This game has been pretty scrappy. Okay.
So no more swipes, so he doesn't have any easy swipe targets left. That's the good news. But the bad news is that your opponent's kind of got everything. I like using the health here on the Keeper of the Grove to keep yourself way out of range. Because one of the only ways your opponent's going to win at this point is if they combo you. So if the higher you stay on life total right now, the more it means to you. And your minion health means a little bit less than yours because you have so much to back it up.
Ah.
Ancient looks pretty appealing here, I think.
I think so, because you need to try to find a way to follow up. Like, the swipe is something you can play the following turn, but like your opponent's just going to continue loading if you just swipe here, and you actually might accomplish nothing, or even worse, maybe he develops something stronger and you already use your swipe. Versus the Ancient can kind of act as a damage sponge, which it's exactly doing right now.
Yep, and he picked up Force of Nature too. This game's going to get really close really quick. Darkwonyx, I think he's got enough to make the push.
Yeah, he's got lots of ways to damage RDU directly. Black Knight.
He's got to be worried about Savage Roar still though. So 3, 4. His opponent's got 16 points of damage showing, and with the hero power it's 17 points. I think you should charge into the face here and just use your hero power and go for face as well. It's going to put your opponent down to 12 points of life. So even if they hero power, you're still threatening lethal. And then the Druid of the Claw also is a threat to your opponent's board, so it effectively has taunt in this spot. But this is also really effective because this is kind of sending the same message. So RDU's got to heal here. He has to keep himself out of range, I think.
Okay, well, he pulls up to 19. He does have Druid of the Claw, which is really nice to put something up in taunt mode as well. But we know that might be the end. Now, on the opposite end of things, RDU's put his opponent down to 17. And Darkwonyx might be the one who might have to spend his time removing
Oh my
Now that he has
gosh.
2 Force of Natures, I think that's almost certainly what he's going to do.
I think that Force of Nature is actually a pretty big blessing. I think you're supposed to force combo here. I would just go for the dome, I think.
Oh my god.
It's a pretty big risk. I don't know. It's
That's
so
a
valuable
huge
to clear.
risk. He's got 8
It's so
damage.
vulnerable. It's so
You
easy
can-
to clear your opponent's board if you do it. But then you lose so much damage.
But you still have ways to kind of recover from it. You have second Force.
Maybe you just clear the Violet Teacher? No, if you clear the Violet Teacher, you're still not close to lethal, though.
You need Savage Roar and Innervate or something to kind of piece it together.
If you charge this Druid of the Claw, your opponent's going to kill it, and then they still have to taunt him afterwards. Yep, I like charging.
Well, there's hesitation. He's going to put him at 14, which means if he hero powers, which almost certainly will be the case, he's still going to need a little bit extra. So he chooses to go for the trade instead. RDU top decks and Argent Squire.
Oh, jeez.
Well, guess what's
This
going to come
could be-
next?
Yeah, this could be the swing in the game that Darkwonyx needed, too. RDU's very reluctant to pay life here, by the way. Because, again, as we were talking, he's spent so much resources conserving his life total that he doesn't want to dip back down below that point.
But maybe he feels more confident with a taunt.
Yep,
In the
which
way.
he does.
The light protects me.
And so he's going for it. Now his opponent will have the Black Knight, but RDU is still at 15 health. Second Savage Roar. Whoa.
Wow.
So now an Innervate becomes lethal.
That, and he can use his next combo to start clearing his opponent's board. Oh, wow, look at this, actually. He can Savage Roar for 2 damage and then push for lethal next turn. Because his opponent can only go to 14 from the hero power.
That is also true, and it's very unlikely that maybe he has a Taunt Giver, right?
Right.
Of some sort.
I think it's
because
really
he just used
unlikely.
both Druid Claws.
But if your opponent has their own Savage Roar, you're just dead. But I
Well,
don't
you're
think
dead
it's-
either way.
Right, there's nothing he can do about that. I think you go for the Savage Roar.
Well, actually,
Savage
no.
Roar for 1
If-
extra damage.
If he hero powers, he's out of Savage Roar range with the opponent's damage. He'll be at damage at 12. Right? And then he has 13.
5, 6.
He has 13 if he hero powers. So if he
Oh
Savage Roar
my
hero powers,
gosh.
he's dead. So Darkwonyx
Oh
is determining
my
whether or not he's going to do it. He's going
Oh,
for
he
the
makes
safer
a safe play.
Oh, man. That is literally a 50-50 because you're not sure what your opponent has. And that might be the right choice based off of this Azure Drake top decks. Oh,
Oh.
very close.
And RDU's got a hero power. He can't even play his own Violet Teacher. He's got to stay at a range of full combo.
Oh, man.
This
Now-
game is getting crazy.
Darkwonyx has to combo out of here, or Force of Nature at least. Maybe Innervate, though, can end the game. Oh, that is a very important minion to pick up if you can use Force of Nature to clear here.
Well, use Savage Roar as well, and so that way you can put damage onto your opponent and then threaten lethal next turn.
Sure. It's all as well, right?
Wow, it's going to come down to this draw. RDU needs a taunt or he needs Savage Roar.
He's got 12 cards left. He's got 2 Savage Roars. Oh, he doesn't get it. So this series is still alive. Darkwonyx will be able to take the Druid Mirror and maybe continue on the Druid winning streak.
It all turns around. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And this is that first step for Darkwonyx right now.
Groom some of your flowers in celebration.
I think you BM play the Argent Squire. Wow, no BM. Fine, I get it,
I think
Darkwonyx.
so. The past couple of months. He's grinded it so much that he knows all the ins and outs, what's the perfect cards to keep per matchup, and everything to do situationally. You know what? He's not going for it. He's going for Warrior above everything else.
All right, so he's going the opposite route, which is play what he feels is his worst matchup, I think, and then try to go into your best matchup.
Maybe he wants to show off more of his Warrior as well.
It could be. Maybe he just
I
wants
mean,
to practice
RDU also
matchups
likes to
a little
earn
bit.
respect as much as he wants to kind of prove that he's the best.
Right.
The light protects me.
Maybe he wants to show his unique deck building. But let's see what he gets with his opening hand. He has an Azure Drake and a Cairn. Other than that, he's got pure removal. But he's got important removal because sometimes those executes would be really valuable against anything that's innervated out. Say this Druid the Claw picks up an innervate early in the game.
Right. For now, ooh, that's a really good draw. Pick up an extra card. It looks to me like he's going to be aiming for a turn 5 Cairn.
The light I fight.
I think so.
square.
Cairn still gives Druid a lot of trouble if they don't have Keeper of the Grove. And
These
even then,
squares are
still have
such
to
a
deal with the big
nuisance.
minion.
I hate having to deal with Argent Squire. It's like
if you
the
have, like,
most
Acolyte,
annoying
it's-
minion. He's going to have to Fiery War Axe one of them.
All right, well, what does RDU pick up? He's kind of coming up on a dead turn. Ooh, he whiffs on a draw.
A couple of Argent Squires and a couple of Hero Powers has been Darkwonyx's turn 1 through 4. Not the most blazing start in the world, but his hand's not too shabby. He's got, wow, a second Whirlwind gets picked up.
Oh, by the way, important to note that Shield Slam does end up doing damage even if you have 0 damage or 0 armor as long as you have spell power.
Right. That was a recent
Before
change.
it wasn't the case. Yeah, before it wasn't the case. I tried that one time because I thought it was clever and it would work, but it didn't. And I said, Blizzard, why? Why did you do this?
Oh.
Because I did it on stream, and I said, why did you do this to me?
Oh, I've done it on stream too. I was like, what? And I was like, I guess no damage. I guess you can't add the damage to no damage. Like, it wasn't 0 damage it was dealing. It was
Just 0
no
plus
damage.
1 is 1.
Well, see, that's where where I feel like it was getting lost. I'm just trying to justify the terrible bug. It was like, you can't add something. You can't add a damage modifier to damage that doesn't exist. Because it wasn't dealing
Look
0
at that.
damage, it just wasn't dealing damage. If that makes sense? Wow, he drew
Yeah.
Innervate off the Azure Drake! Oh my
That's a very nice
gosh.
pickup. He does have Whirlwind with the Fiery War Axe to clear it, but again, he's trading more of his health down, which you don't want to do as a warrior player. Oh wait, he has the now he also just execute directly.
Yeah, but I still
Probably
think
just
he-
gonna do this. Sure.
There's a certain point where you can pay life, and there's a certain point where you can't. And I think now is the time when you have to start paying it, because you also have the second Fiery War Axe that you want to start getting through, and you're going to want these executes to be efficient in later turns.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
Oh, second Savage Roar too. I'm sorry, Force Stage to go along with the second Savage Roar.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have something convenient like a shield block. The shield block shield slam would be so key against that.
For the man who has everything.
Now, all of a sudden, RDU, despite having good opportunities to remove, still doesn't have exactly what he wants. And if his opponent draws Innervate, this game is over.
Ooh.
Let's see, with Wrath. I feel like putting...
You just
know,
Savage
here-
Roar this turn?
Oh, you like Savage Roaring this turn?
I don't think it's that bad. No, you don't Savage Roar. You just play Ancient.
Yeah, I like the Ancient of Lore play way better, picking up value immediately. Who knows? If you push for damage, you might pick up an Innervate as well, and you may be able to end the game next turn.
Well, he's going to be attacking his face. There's no doubt about that. At least I don't think there is. I've been surprised before in this tournament. Yep, being very consistent with the plan. I agree with this.
All right, so he picks up Keeper, which is nice answer for the Cairn. RDU has Faceless, but he's most likely going to use his Whirlwinds here and his Executes.
Yep, I think you got to use 2 executes. You have to start pushing for damage yourself at some point too.
Yeah. Oh wait, he still has enough. No, just kidding. He's I thought he was gonna have enough mana still for the Faceless, but he's gonna choose to do that and keep the Execute for. But I think it's almost too good to pass.
Yeah, this is a good development move, and it also saves him an execute. He's dead to Innervate though.
What is unfortunate is that over the course of 2 turns, he won't be able to armor up naturally past the 14 range either. So he did kind of give up that. So he's kept an Execute, but at the same time, he is more vulnerable. Now, on the flip side,
RDU?
did
Did RDU have the coin, or is he going into 9 mana?
RDU is going into 8 mana.
Okay, so he can't Alexstrasza this turn either, which is really important right now.
Yeah.
He needs to draw something like Shield Block.
Shield block would be very, very good. Shield
my
block.
gosh!
Shield slam number 2. Whoa. Okay.
That could have been the saving grace of this game.
I think so. Because now he's able to kind of stabilize above the health ranges. Wow. So meticulous to take care of his health. And for good reason. Because what also is good about the armor is that when you Alexstrasza yourself, you're going to gain 3 life. Ooh, double combo. Do you go for it?
Are you kidding me?
Do you go for it and just
I
whatever? It doesn't matter?
Because you're forcing your opponent to have Alexstrasza here. If they don't have Alexstrasza, you just have the game, right?
Oh, man. But if they do have Alexstrasza, how sad are you?
Look at Darkwonyx 2 here. This is actually really strong. He realizes if his opponent's got Alexstrasza, that he's gonna be able to pick him off anyway. And now he's thinking about whether or not Shield Block is another card. So this way he cuts his opponent's cards down to just Alexstrasza, where if because he was considering
he had Shield
Bane
Block.
token. Wow, and he drew Shield Block.
Oh my God! Well,
Darkwonyx draw Innervate.
He needs to draw Innervate. That's his last out. Otherwise, the finals will go to RDU, who's been able to kind of bait his opponent into doing that damage. Oh, it's the Black Knight. It's not exactly what he needed. Maybe Darkwonyx can survive one more turn, though, because his opponent does show that he has 17 damage.
Wow, this game turned around so quickly.
What is he going to... Oh. Okay. I thought he was wrathing for 1. It was a little blurry. That's my mistake.
RDU's got some lethal draws here, too.
Yep, Gromosh. Oh, no, actually, you can't activate the Gromosh.
It just needs 4 damage, is all. He's already got 15 damage on the board.
Well, maybe he should shield block first and see what he's got. But he's using his Fiery War Axe ahead of time. Cool Taskmaster.
Wow, and the shield slam. I don't think there's any way that Darkwonyx is going to win this game anymore.
Oh my
That is
God.
so much damage.
Oh man, because he has to spend his combo to remove now. And when you do that, I think the only way was if he had something crazy like the BGH.
He's going to have to force combo to clear.
And even then, his opponent's still on lethal.
Already used 1 damage off lethal right now. He's got Cruel Taskmaster for 2 more. Korkarn Elite, Gorehowl, Gromishwar's going to win the game. Both of his Fire War Axes are gone, though. Slam the face! Oh, he can't do it! 6 damage, Darkwonyx down to 1. I don't think there's any cards that get him out of this situation. I think this one's just done.
My greeting. For the wild. My thanks.
And that's going to do it. Darkwonyx is going to lose the game in a best-of-7 series versus RDU. So RDU is going to win this tournament, but Darkwonyx is going to come in 2nd place. And good news for